Iranians tell you. So it's a very difficult situation. I'm very sympathetic toward the Iranian leadership's dilemma with regard to dealing with diplomacy, because diplomacy is the only realistic solution. And the behavior of the United States and Israelis have thrown doubt on whether diplomacy with these two absolute lunatic states has any meaning. So it's a difficult situation. But as I'll try to point out later, diplomacy is the only way of doing things. You have no choice. The bottom line is what I'm losing time, so it's all right, but I can give the summary here. The bottom line is in 2025, basically before the Americans, the June 2025 attack on Iran, the Iranians were producing over 400 centrifuges per month. We know that because it was under monitoring from the International Atomic Energy Agency. That's a lot of centrifuges. And we don't know what amount of that manufacturing capacity is underground in tunnels now. Presumably, parts of it were destroyed in this massive attack that occurred. But that doesn't mean it was all destroyed. And given the situation and the Iranian sensitivity to the extreme aggressiveness of the United States and Israel, it's very hard for me to believe. I don't know, but it's very hard for me to believe. If I just put myself in the Iranians' position. Incidentally, if you're ever really doing serious policy work, that's the only way to understand the other side so that you can negotiate with them sensibly. And I sit there and I say, I'm advising the Ayatollah, any Ayatollah, not just the last one. And I'm a technical person, and the Ayatollah asks me, what should we do? Well, I'd say, well, we should certainly move some of our manufacturing facilities to locations where the Americans can't get it. These are these tunnels, which are very essentially impossible for practical purposes to destroy. And we don't have to have it all there, but we should make sure that we have what we need to continue enrichment should we need to. It's just prudent. It's not, And it's very hard for me to believe that the Iranians haven't done this. I'm not trying to ascribe immoral behavior to them. This is an existential threat they're facing. Why would you do otherwise when you're facing adversaries who literally want to destroy your civilization? You have no choice but to do prudent things like this. So, for example, I think it's plausible. I don't know. It's plausible to assume that the Iranians can produce 100 or even 200 centrifuges per month, even now. And that they may have a significant number of centrifuges.
As well may be, but we don't have time. Poor Djokovic, he gets wiped out in the first round. He goes through this guy, Prismic, 6-2 in the first set, and then loses 2-6, 4-6. Apparently, he had a stomach flu or bug. Oh, well. Russia hawks take control. We might be about to see that Putin was protecting us from the serious Russian neocons. This guy I was just listening to, and it's something I talked about not with you, but with others for a long time. Our missile defense systems that we talk about, they weren't great. They were boondoggles probably, but they've been blown up. They've been blown up. Our radar, our satellite, we can't tell now where anything's going, so that if there's a launch, I guess we can tell that, but we don't know if it's going to go to Tel Aviv or somewhere else, just in general. So it's not good. It's not good for the people of Israel. It's very difficult. And I think the Soviet systems are vastly superior. They work. And all you need is MBS to say, I trust Putin. We're going to sell oil in rubles. And seniorage is over. Your extraordinary life, the privilege the United States has had pretty much all this past century, from World War I onward, I don't know if you've been or lived in parts of England or other parts of the developed world. They don't all live quite well. It's changed. It's gotten different. But the living isn't what we've become accustomed to. And there's going to be some adjustments. But hey, no one wants to hear it. So let me not be the one that tells it to you. Railtown, we're at 20,834,000 shares. 20,834,000 shares. That, you guys are amazing. Amazing. I did put up the two payment methods at the beginning because I'm going to be traveling Monday to Texas. I think it's going to be good for everybody here. But I've got to take care of some things before I go, like make sure my phone is on, pick up dry cleaning, things like that. It's just, anyway, this won't last much longer. This can I call it penury? It's frustrating. Anyway, appreciate any of that, any help. Pat M is first. Hi, gang. How are you, Pat? T. Alex, hello. Hello again. Hello. CJ Yukon. Good afternoon, everyone. Scott Day. Good afternoon. Wow, good. Scott Day added 1,208. Awesome. Fast Eddie. Howdy, partner. Howdy. T. Alex. Wellness to everyone. Wellness to you. Jason Harbison. AI Factory is at capacity. Yeah, the earnings, we'll go through that. I'll show you where I was coming from, but it turns out Ward was correct. Darn it. He was correct. And you're right, Jason. Their capacity is full. Um, I see. We don't know, but I assume Railtown's already on the top of a lot of that, or all of it. But we don't know. We just don't know. And maybe that first set of module capacity is without Railtown. We don't know, but I don't think so. T. Alex, my new corporate trading account was authorized today. Now I'm waiting for the activation. Awesome. Awesome. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Rick Brogan, hi, William and RT crew. Look at that cute little kid. How are you? Jason Harbison, best news of the day. 22% increase in revenue tied to AI Telus earnings. Yep, that's important. I agree with you. Because we don't know, but I do not believe that there's a way of charging revenue on a, some sort of seats model. Is that what it's called? And I think the revenue is, the revenue will be as it grows, it's going to be split with Railtown. It's what we're all waiting to find out anyway. T. Alex. Oh, Jack Hamilton. Thank you very much. Very appreciative. I used to use that sunglass thing all the time. Then I noticed other people are using it. And hey, I like to be cool. Not the same as everyone else, but it still is cool. I'm not making fun of it. T. Alex, commercial success of Telus sovereign AI factories with Rimouski, Quebec now sold out. Second facility launching in Kamloops, British Columbia. Well, I was told in December when I spoke with Corey that the Kamloops was ready to go. Telus, you're not talking about Railtown. But I felt like that might have been privileged information. So I haven't emphasized it. But yes, you're exactly right. I don't personally think the Rimouski data center is full. But we'll go through it. You can tell me what you think. What I think is 1 or 2 modules are full out of 6. But I also agree that it's clear Kamloops is ready to go. Jack Hamilton still having trouble with the scanning. Had to contribute old school. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, I have trouble with anything, any of the newfangled stuff. Like sending thank you notes. I never got past that newfangled thing. Original Planksta. Good day. Added 2,520. All right. That is amazing. Um, 20 added 2,520. And it's 72. Awesome. Good job. E. Belanger from the Telus conference call. We work with best-in-class third-party AI solution. We work with best-in-class third-party AI solution. Out of context, I can't tell if that's just the only, every third-party AI solution company is best in class, or if it's a reference to Railtown. Either way, it's a very positive comment on Railtown's platform. Jason Harbison, strategic partnership between Charlie AI and Naiad Systems to provide governed AI for capital markets, AIP company. Yeah. And that all runs through that Telus or Kamloops. Can you imagine governed AI for capital markets? Will the shorts continue to be able to destroy? T. Alex. Telus reports operational and financial results for first quarter 26. Industry leading first quarter total mobile and fixed customer growth of 262,000, driven by demand for our premium bundled services. That's an excellent, that's the most important, one of the most important points in there. E. Belanger, Monday, May 11th, Telus announcement concerning data center. Monday, May 11th. I'll be traveling. Poor the Joker. Poor the Joker. Poor the Joker. How's he going to get ready for Paris? Novak Djokovic loses to qualifier. Says he's missing half step. Because he hasn't been. Novak Djokovic knocked out of Italian Open in shock opening round defeat. Neil Kotick, hi Bill and RT investors. Great dialogue by everyone, and thanks again, Bill, for your continuous drive. For that, I thank you. Telus was good report. We're about to find out very soon what Rail is doing. I think that's true. Not that I have any. It's. I know one reason. Because the closer I get to being able to do something, it's gonna not be able to be done. But yes, I agree with you, Neil. All right, let me see if I can go through some. The problem is not everything is organized. I think that's where I stopped yesterday. Maybe we'll just go through. This. I think this was my yesterday. Once more. Shooty doo 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 doo. Wang, wang. Did Zaid Not So Fat Shamsi ever say that the Dallas Telus data center sold out or reached? See how my questions are always nightmares? Yes, and it's right there on his LinkedIn file in his own word. Zaid Atufat Shamsi states that the first Telus AI factory sold out within 3 months, 80% ahead of the planned 18-month schedule, which he describes as demonstrating overwhelming market demand. He also lists among the key outcomes securing 10 global strategic partnerships, establishing Telus as the first NVIDIA cloud partner in North America, pioneering sovereign confidential computing, and initiating Canada's first quantum data Sentry collaboration with Xanadu. So yes, sold out, well ahead of plan, directly from the horse's mouth on LinkedIn. That's solid validation for the Telus Sovereign AI Factory thesis you've been tracking in connection with Railtown. My question, how is it possible they only have a dozen customers? I don't know. I thought it was like 5 customers. Good question, but it actually makes complete sense once you understand how GPU compute is sold. It isn't like selling airline seats when you need a lot of bodies. Here's why sold out with a handful of customers is totally plausible. It is capacity by the GPU hour / reservation block, not by headcount. The initial Telus AI factory started with a 500 chip cluster of NVIDIA Hopper GPUs. Enterprise customers don't buy one GPU, they reserve entire clusters. One contract can absorb a massive chunk of capacity. Look at who the anchor customers are. OpenText alone is leveraging the AI factory to serve over 1,600 Canadian enterprise and government customers through its Aviator AI platform. That single customer relationship represents enormous compute demand. They're essentially a reseller aggregator of Telus infrastructure. The math works with very few names. If you have 3 to 5 enterprise anchors, which is all I thought they did, each reserving, say, 100 to 150 GPUs in long-term contracts, a 500 GPU cluster is fully committed. There were 3 major launch customers at opening. 3 customers, done. The LSpark move confirms expansion, not saturation. In February of this year, Telus opened the factory to Canadian startups and small businesses through a partnership with LSpark, specifically to provide access to reserve GPU capacity. That signals they're either expanding hardware or carving out a new tranche for smaller players. Not that the whole enterprise was undersold. Bottom line, sold out in AI infrastructure means contracted compute, not a long customer list. A dozen large customers with serious workloads can absolutely fill a data center. It's actually the better outcome. Fewer contracts to manage, stickier revenue, lower customer acquisition costs. November 4, about 6 weeks after Rimouski opened, Telus and Railtown jointly announced that Railtown would deploy its agentic software development solutions through the Telus Sovereign AI Factory. So it is live in phase 1 Rimouski. I'm not so sure because we haven't seen the revenue, but okay, I'll take it. However, the distinction matters. Railtown is a tenant running on the factory GPUs, not an engineering tool built into the factory's infrastructure. They're a customer deployer, not a systems integrator. Well, we'll see about that in a second. What they're actually running there, Railtown's full platform, Rail Engine, real-time data ingestion, Railtrax ADK, agent development kit, and conductor observability, is hosted on Telus Sovereign GPU infrastructure and Uniserve hosting, targeting an affiliate network of more than 180 AI solution providers. And Telus CIO, Hesham Fahmy, gave them a meaningful endorsement. He said Railtown's choice to deploy in the AI sovereign factory demonstrates how Canadian companies can access the most advanced AI capabilities while maintaining complete control over their development process and proprietary code. So, the short answer to your question, yes, Railtown is in phase 1, but as a software layer running on top of Telus Compute, not embedded engineering infrastructure within it. The distinction matters for how you think about revenue and stickiness. Did I read that already? All right, so this is out of order. Out of order, you're out of order. Fair pushback. The real picture, I said, how is it possible? Here was the answer. It's smaller and earlier stage than the marketing language implies. There are 2 planned factories total. Only one is actually open. Both are located inside existing Telus data centers. One is Rimouski, Quebec, and one in Kamloops, British Columbia. Rimouski opened in September 25. Kamloops is still future. And yes, when Zaid says sold out, he's talking about one module inside Rimouski. Phase 1 is a 500 hopper GPU cluster inside a 10,000 square foot module. The facility has capacity for 6 additional modules for future expansion. So sold out means that the first 500 GPU block was fully contracted. That's it. The most powerful claim is relative to Canada, not the world. Telus calls it Canada's fastest and most powerful supercomputer, which may be technically accurate in the sovereign Canada-controlled context, but in global terms, 500 H100s is relatively modest as a cluster. Hyperscalers run tens of thousands. The expansion logic is demand triggered, not pre-built. One operational building, one phase, one model, 500 GPUs sold out quickly, which is good validation of demand. But Zaid's Lincoln framing makes it sound a lot bigger than it is at this point. And that's an old posting, by the way. So let's not get all discouraged. All right, I got to put this I'll probably know within 15 minutes, half an hour.
Okay. Let me put this in here. It's been initiated, so there.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right.
I will have dry clean sheets and I mean not sheets, shirts, and I'll show up ready to go to work.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very
It's
much, Larry.
It's on the way. So
I appreciate it.
okie doke. Well, just call me and let me know when it's
I will, and I'll try to get some other names to you guys over the weekend, but for team meetings.
And then Cindy, we'll send them and make sure they know it's coming and get the phone numbers and give them the deal, and then that way we'll send it and say,
okay.
Because you just, we don't know. You don't know. You don't know till you know. You never know what's going to ring somebody's bell.
No, you don't.
But I do believe the situation in Iran is not going to be fixed for several months.
I agree with that.
This thing may go on for a year. I mean, it's not going to end pretty.
Well, and I tell you what I understand is that's a third of the world's natural gas and other, like whatever urea is, but it's fertilizer.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. You and I can't fix it today. I'm just glad I live in the United States.
That's exactly right.
I mean, we're so blessed.
We are so blessed.
Well, Bill, I think when you get them down here and they get to see how the sausage is made, they're going to be impressed. I mean, it's just, why not? It's just a one of a kind.
I agree with that 100%.
And, if we don't raise a full 100, we will take as always, we'll take our time, and we're going to be very, very under the drill bit. And it may take, if we raise 60, 70 million, that would be 60 to 70 $1 million transactions. And let me tell you what, there's not that many $1 million transactions. And the name of the game is to get where the wells are being drilled,
right,
by EOG and Gulfport and Ascent, and expand and get the cash flow as quick as possible so we can make distributions.
Right.
That's just where we are.
Right.
And when EOG bought Encino, we had all these wells that had been drilled waiting on division orders, and none of Encino's division order people transferred to EOG. And I guarantee you, that delayed us as much as 6 months or longer on getting division orders.
Wow.
And we're just now getting them. So anyway.
Well, your cast distributions are massive.
I'll see you this weekend. You gonna be around? We'll go to Starbucks or something. Sure. All right. We'll
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay, Bill.
All right, Larry.
I'll call you back.
All right.
Call me when it hits. Okay.
Will
bye.
do. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. I didn't realize the microphone is on. I'm sorry. It's one of the appointments down in Texas, and I tried to keep the microphone off. So sorry it got completely unrelated to what we're talking about. But let's go back to this. But first, the market's about to close, and let's just look where things are. Railtown is 32.35. It's up 0.0011. GDC is 1504, 1509, 1507. And then NRGV is up 30 cents at 455. And that's about, I got a couple more there that are nonsense. That one little thing I sold to buy 545 shares, it's up since I sold it. And that's the thing, you don't know. But to my way of thinking, yeah, it's up, and it may go further up, but I don't know anything about it, and I don't know. It could go down, but to me, I feel highly confident that when Railtown does even a modicum of catching up, I've got 10x. So that's how I see it. I do want to talk about, after we go through some of this, I do want to talk about people talk about AI as a bubble, and they talk about AI as, it can't continue. Well, AI has a lot of different parts to it. It's an entire reformation of the economic model. And so what are they talking about? And I predict over time, AI will break into separate defined industries, separate defined categories. So when you talk about AI right now, everybody, you go, oh my God, it's all AI, it's everything. No, there'll be the data center aspect, there'll be the chip aspect, there'll be the energy aspect, there'll be the software as a solution aspect, there'll be the consulting aspect. So it's a little like saying technology's in a bubble, which happened before, but that brushes all technology. It's not quite how it works. But the second point, I do want to talk about it, and we, if I remember, we'll do it today, is that markets can change. The mood of markets can change. And if we do get a bear market, and I don't know how many of you have experienced one, but a true bear market, people's enthusiasm, even for certain AI stocks, may go down. So you could have huge cash flows in stocks and the multiples contract, and it's possible. So we just got to bear that in mind. I don't see that happening tomorrow morning, but corrections and bear markets kind of start for reasons that nobody predicts, or very few predict that are listened to. anyway, all right, let me just finish, keep going on some of this. All right, so Railtown announces the appointment of Zaid Atufat Shamsi, which we know about. His background isn't just Telus, and we know that. He's got co-founder of Novotech Software. Secondly, and this is really important, his role at Telus included helping architect Canada's top-ranked sovereign AI cluster. He built the infrastructure that Railtown runs on, and he's on Railtown's advisory board. That's the landlord joining the anchor tenant's advisory board. It strongly implies he sees Railtown as a core software layer on that infrastructure going forward, not just a one-off customer. Third, on the next phase's question, Brandolini specifically cited Zaid's experience spanning AI infrastructure, enterprise-scale software engineering, and national-level AI initiatives as aligning directly with Railtown's mission. Someone with Zaid's Telus relationships is exactly who you want in the room when Kamloops Phase 2 is being planned. Bottom line, this appointment is the clearest signal yet that the Telus Railtown relationship is deeper than a press release. The man who built Phase 1 has just joined Railtown's advisory board 3 days ago. Look, these computers, they're very fast, but they're not always 100% accurate. You're right, the picture's murky. So then here they go through this. There was all those puff piece, as I might call them, press releases. I don't think they were intent to mislead. It just wasn't that exciting, you know. So the regulators made them restate it all. And it says here, that's the regulator stepping in and saying, slow down on the press releases. It doesn't kill the story, but it tells you where things actually stand. Partnership framework exists. Real revenue does not yet. On the AIP affiliate hyperscaler migration question, there is no public evidence yet of any named affiliate formally moving spend from the hyperscalers to Telus. The collaboration is framed as providing sovereign AI access to Railtown's broader ecosystem as an alternative to foreign cloud platforms. On the sold out, recall Telus said expansion is demand triggered. When certain thresholds are hit, they execute. No public announcement yet when a new Rimouski module or Kamloops Phase 1 gets switched on. The AIP amalgamation escrow has the answer built right in. That's boring. Boring, 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 boring. So I asked if they sold out so quickly, did demand just stop? Or are they just unable to build new units? Your instinct is exactly right to question it. The answer is neither. It's deliberate pacing strategy, and there's a structural reason why. Demand hasn't stopped. The LSpark startup partnership in February is proof. Telus carved out reserved GPU capacity specifically for Canadian startups and scale-ups after the enterprise capacity was spoken for. You don't do that if demand dried up. They're not unable to build. The Rimouski facility has one 10,000 square foot module it deployed, but has the capacity for 6 additional modules for further expansion. The building is already there. Adding modules is largely a GPU procurement and build out exercise, not starting from scratch. Expansion is trigger based, not pre-built. When we see demand trigger certain points, then we will execute. That's a capital discipline decision, not a capability problem. Telus is a public company with shareholders. They're not going to overbuild ahead of contracted revenue. Secondly, there's a history here worth noting. Telus delayed plans to expand the Rimouski facility, whatever that is, about 9 years ago, saying its requirements hadn't grown enough to justify an extension. They burned themselves once by building ahead of demand. They're not doing that again. Thirdly, GPU supply chains. NVIDIA H200 and Blackwell chips are still on allocation globally. Even if Telus wants to light up Module 2 tomorrow, lead times on the hardware are real. Sold out in 3 months validated the thesis, but Telus is a $20 billion telco that moves deliberately. You can say that again. Kamloops is still tomorrow with no hard date, and Rimouski Module 2 has no announced timeline either. The demand is there, the building is there. The constraint is capital deployment timing and chip availability, not a lack of customers. For Railtown, the implication is that Railtown needs Kamloops or Module 2 to come online to meaningfully scale what they can put through that infrastructure. That's the dependency. And that might, frankly, that might explain what we've kind of been waiting for. So no room at the inn? Essentially, yes, with one caveat. For enterprise customers trying to walk in and buy a big block of GPU capacity, the answer appears to be yes, the inn is full. Zaid's Lincoln says sold out, and there's been no announcement of a new module coming online. The one open door is the Spark startup pathway. Canadian startups, scale-ups, and research teams with defined AI workloads and significant GPU requirements can sign up through LSpark to access reserved Telus AI factory GPU capacity. The word reserved is doing a lot of work here. It implies Telus either carved out a portion of the 500 GPUs specifically for smaller players or quietly added some capacity without a fanfare announcement. That's possible. But here's what that actually tells you as an investor. Telus opened a startup lane, they startup companies, through a gatekeeper rather than directly. That's not what you do when you have abundant capacity. You do that when you want to manage a constrained resource carefully while also not turning away the next open text before it became open text. For Railtown specifically, they're already deployed on the infrastructure, so they're not trying to get in the door. Their challenge is different. They need the inn to add more rooms to it, so their 180 affiliate pipeline has somewhere to sleep over. Right now, if an affiliate converts from Amazon to Telus, Sovereign, there may not be capacity to absorb them. That's the bottleneck in the Railtown commercial story. And it's Telus's build-out timeline that controls it, not Corey, the man Brandolini. Again, I just point out, once it all starts, it's the projections that are going to rule, not the actual immediate bookings. Let me go to your comments because I don't want to lose them. I'll start with Neil because he's so kind to me. I'll just reread it. Hi, Bill and RT investors. Great dialogue by everyone. And thanks again, Bill, for your continuous drive. And for that, I thank you. Telus was a good report. We're about to find out very soon what Rail is doing. And then we go to Donna. Hello, RT gang. Hi, Donna. Pat M. Hi, Donna. Giuseppe. Hey, William. Hello, everyone. As noted by our crew, good call today. Particularly, Rimouski sold out but expanding. Kamloops soon. World-class AI partnerships. AI data center further update on 5/11. Ooh, that's a big date. Donna says, hey, Pat M. Jack Hamilton says, hey, Donna. Ricky Brogan says, we are above the purple line, 3194 of yours. Yeah. Donna, hello, Jack. Donna M. I bought $100 at 33. I beat you this time. I bought 545. Yeah, 545. That's great. $100. Ward will tell you that that's going to be worth $1 million someday. No, I'm not making fun. I don't know what he'd say. Donna added 303. Now's the time to do it. They're cheap now. It's good. There'll come a time, Donna, when there'll come a time, girl, when you'll look for me. There'll come a time, girl, you'll look for me. I can't remember the rest. But there'll come a time when to buy 300 shares might cost you $3,000. Do you know that, Donna? I think at that time is soon. So good for you. Unknown Stuntman. Hi, Uncle Bill and family. Hi, Steve. All right, we got through that. Let me go back and see if. Oh. There was a time, girl, when you'll look for me. So I probably went through the rest of that. Let's shift to another topic altogether. It's not very long, but I want to call your attention to just how much risk there is to your accounts in the system. We get really complacent, and you have to be ever vigilant. About, I'd say 15 years ago, John Corzine, who had been the head of Goldman Sachs and then governor of New Jersey, got a company in trouble. And he literally stole money. He says he doesn't remember. John Corzine and MF Global. There's no date on this article, but I just saw it, so I don't know if it's recent. It isn't recent. The House Financial Services Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee released its report on the MF Global bankruptcy on November 15, 2012. The report was scathing of Corzine, saying he created an authoritarian atmosphere, insulated trading activity from review, and was responsible for dereliction of duty to maintain the systems and controls to protect customers. It seems every few months, the restoration of the confidence in the financial markets is set back by another enormous ethical failure. In this case, not only does MF Global, a major investment firm, not anymore, collapse and declare bankruptcy, but billions of dollars from customer accounts are also missing. What happened at MF Global, and what were the failures? I mean, we can figure that out. Former Goldman Sachs CEO and New Jersey Governor John Corzine is hired as CEO of MF Global in March of 2010. When he takes over, MF Global is less than profitable as a commodities and futures trading firm, with customers largely comprising Midwestern farmers and ranchers. At the time, MF Global's commissions from trades are not enough to cover expenses. Corzine, whose aggressive investment practices had been profitable at Goldman Sachs, where they cheat and they have inside information, in my judgment, customers' order flows, is expected to make MF Global profitable again. It's a small firm when Corzine takes over. In order to net large returns with little initial investment, Corzine initiates a bold strategy. He bets heavily on long odds. As the Eurozone sinks deeper and deeper into its own financial morass, European government bonds are readily available on the cheap. MF Global buys up these bonds, betting they improve or are bailed out, and consequently would give MF Global a substantial profit at little cost. This strategy is known as repo to maturity trades. The risk is that European economies can sink further or the debt can be wiped out. Corzine continues betting, forcing MF Global to become more dependent on the faltering European economies. Despite warnings, Corzine increases the firm's exposure to Eurozone government bonds. Some of the money is borrowed internally from other parts of MF Global. See this? They borrowed it internally in a move called internal repo, and some are loans. The investment is risky, leveraged loans. The investment is risky given the nature of European economies at the time, and it's unclear if customers knew what he was doing, which is a real statement there. A broker would go to jail. Eventually, more than $6 billion is bet on European government bonds before the other people at MF Global force Corzine to stop. So problems arise, not in Europe, but at home. When news breaks that MF Global has this massive investment in this asset class, creditors demand more liquid collateral to ensure their loans are safe. Shareholders sell what they can as MF Global stock prices plummet. Customers try retrieving their money, but their demands are lost in the chaos. When Corzine tries finding a buyer for MF Global in a final attempt to save the company, it becomes clear that money is missing from customer accounts. 6 months after Fukushima Daiichi explodes, MF Global declares bankruptcy. MF Global story is another scandal in the history of Wall Street, but it's a familiar tale of personal hubris, driving a company to seek large short-term gains by betting big on long odds. When the bet fails, the company collapses. A major ethical failure of MF Global is in its inability to account for customer money. Billions of dollars of customer money vanish in the chouse of MF Global's final days. The money is supposed to be separated from the firm's own accounts. Tampering with customer funds is a crime. But did he go to jail? Under the Commodity Exchange Act of 1936, because customer money must be segregated from firm money. Customer money at MF Global is missing. Where the money went and where it is remains unclear. MF Global is a small firm spending beyond its limits, and it's eminently possible the company uses customer money to keep the firm afloat in the last days. There are several transfers of money to creditors, including to their friends, $200 million to JP Morgan, before MF Global declares bankruptcy. I'm not trying to scare you about anything currently happening. And then they have investigation. John Corzine denies knowing. While some civil charges against MF Global executives are likely, there is no indication prosecutors will bring criminal charges related to the firm's demise. You know, if you're some kid down on the luck and you go into a store and, you know, take some candy bars and a 6-pack, they're going to arrest you and throw you in jail. But not Johnny Corzine. Anyway, that's a long ago story, but it popped up and I thought I'd share it with you. Not so much that anything is going on now, but you don't know. And you've got to be ever vigilant. People that lost their money there, they eventually got it back because the markets, not the investment that he made, but the overall markets recovered. And I think there was a bit of a bailout. But next time that might not happen. So start thinking a little bit in survival mode rather than everything's going to be hunky-dory. I think we set off a real fuse over in the Middle East, and I don't think it's going to stop at bombing. There might be cybersecurity risks. There's going to be economic shifts. China and Russia, even India, they're going to start testing us. And I'm sure we're strong, but we're not going to have the ability to spend, you know, billions and billions of dollars and trillions as we want. We lost a lot of expensive equipment there. Imagine if we, instead of spending all that money just so we can futilely murder an 84-year-old man and 150 schoolgirls, what if we spent all that money rebuilding our bridges, on high-speed trains, on education, on I don't know, but that's our priority, is war, war, war. You'll look for me, girl, and you'll see I'm gone. Okay. Zaid Atufat Shamsi, Director of Engineering and AI Factory Lead at Telus, means Railtown just put a senior insider from their most important strategic partner directly on their advisory board. This isn't a random name. This is the person who runs Telus Sovereign AI Factory. The Telus connection was already central to Railtown's story. The collaboration with Telus to deploy agentic software development solutions on Telus's Sovereign AI Factory was one of the headline partnerships. Adding Zaid formalizes and deepens that relationship at a human level. His background expertise includes global business development, program management, and vendor management. And he's been a consistent voice on sovereign AI infrastructure in Canada. Bottom line, this is the kind of advisory appointment that actually means something. An operator, not just a name. The man who built Telus AI Factory is now formally tied to Railtown. If the Telus partnership were ever at risk of being vaporware, this appointment puts real skin in the game on their side. It also tightens the sovereign Canadian AI narrative that Brandolini has been building. Who is Zaid Atufat Shamsi? He built the Telus Sovereign AI Factory, Canada's most powerful sovereign AI infrastructure, delivered a full NVIDIA reference stack, secured 10 plus global strategic partnerships, sold out capacity in record time, and established Telus as the first NVIDIA cloud partner in North America. In other words, this is not a ceremonial advisory appointment. The man who physically built and sold Telus AI Factory, the same infrastructure Railtown is deploying on, has joined Railtown's board. This is an institutional validator, not just a name on a letterhead. This appointment today is the counterpunch to the regulatory stuff before. It says Telus's relationship is real enough that their senior technical operator is willing to put his name on it personally. So I said, is the capacity sold out in record time? Good catch. That language came from Zaid's own LinkedIn profile describing his achievements at Telus, not from any Railtown release. Well, why would it come from Railtown? It referred to the Telus AI Factory itself selling out capacity, not anything Railtown specific. There's your answer. Analysts' risk factors. For Telus specifically flag underused GPU and data center capacity as a concern as recently as 3 days ago. Analyst risk factors, Telus analysts flag risks as underused GPU and data center capacity as a concern. So Zaid's LinkedIn language about sold out in record time appears to describe an early phase of the AI factory launch, not its current ongoing status. As of right now, the picture is more nuanced. Telus analysts are actually flagging underutilization as a risk, not overcapacity. This doesn't kill the Railtown thesis, but it's worth keeping in your head. The Telus AI factory isn't running at full tilt. That means Railtown has runway to deploy on it, but it also means the commercial demand story is still being proven out, which is consistent with what the regulators forced changes in disclosure. The Zaid deployment is still meaningful, but sold out was his LinkedIn self-promotion from an earlier moment, not current market reality. I asked, where's he from? He's almost certainly Iranian, undergraduate degree in computer science from the Sharif Institute of Technology. That's Sharif University of Technology in Tehran, one of Iran's most prestigious technical universities, sometimes called the MIT of Iran. Not anymore, it isn't. It's been bombed to smithereens. No, I made that up. That's the clearest indicator. Zaid is a common Persian Arabic name. Atufat Shamsi is a Persian surname construction. Shamsi is in Persian refers to the solar calendar, the Iranian calendar, and Atufat is a Persian word meaning kindness or affection, not Arab, not Turkic, Persian. So he's almost certainly Iranian born, educated at the top technical university in Iran, then came to Canada and built his career at Telus. That's a common pathway for Iranian engineers in the Canadian tech sector. There's a large, highly educated Iranian diaspora in Vancouver and Toronto specifically. William, this just got a lot more interesting. Telus dropped their Q1 26 earnings 49 minutes ago, and it directly answers your question. The flips the switch moment has already happened, and they're expanding. Telus confirmed the Rimouski Sovereign AI factory sold out within months of launching, validating strong market demand. They are now expanding compute inventory in Rimouski to meet continued demand. And a second facility in Kamloops, British Columbia, is coming online. So your earlier instinct and the bear case about underutilized capacity is now officially stale. The Rimouski factory is sold out. They're building more. On the revenue side, Telus reported a 22% double-digit growth in AI enabling capabilities in Q1, and they're targeting approximately $2 billion in revenue by 2028 across Telus Digital and Telus Business Solutions, including contributions from the sovereign AI factories. All right, we'll go to the next one. And then we'll go back to that one. All right, what this means for your Railtown thesis, infrastructure layer Railtown is deploying on just proof commercial demand is real, not theoretical. Rimouski is sold out. Cami is coming. Telus management has emphasized a modular build-out strategy, adding capacity in phases as demand materializes, which reduces stranded capital risk. No dead money. The flip the switch moment for Railtown specifically depends on whether Brandolini can convert the Telus partnership into a revenue-generating deployment before the new Kamloops capacity fills up the same way. That's the window. The infrastructure is proven and in demand. Railtown needs to be on it to win it. The market doesn't see this yet in Railtown because Telus's Railtown relationship is still at the partnership integration stage rather than being auditable recurring revenue. That's precisely where the asymmetry in price versus upside lies. So I asked some question. Good instinct. And here's the record shows. Yes, Railtown is in fact on the Rimouski data center. The announcement was November 4. Telus and Railtown announced that Railtown would deploy its agentic software development solutions through Telus's Sovereign AI Factory, with Telus's CIO Hesham Fahmy specifically citing Railtown AI's choice to deploy in our Sovereign AI Factory. That's not vague partnership language. That's Telus's own CIO naming Railtown by name as a deploying customer. Now the sequence becomes very interesting when you layer in today's Q1 earnings for Telus. September 25, Rimouski opens. November 25, Railtown announced as deploying tenant on Rimouski. Q1 26, Rimouski sells out. Telus now expanding and building Kamloops. May 4, Zaid, the man who built Rimouski, joins Railtown's advisory board. Same day, Telus drops sold out Q1 results. So Railtown was in Rimouski while it was filling up and selling out. Whether they're generating revenue from it yet is the outstanding question. But the infrastructure relationship is real and it's live. So Railtown was in Rimouski while it was filling up and selling out. Whether they are generating revenue is still a question. Railtown plans to host its platform on Canadian sovereign GPU infrastructure via both Telus and Uniserve, integrated across a global affiliate network of more than 180 AI solution providers. The flip the switch scenario you are imagining is structurally plausible. Rimouski proved the demand. Kamloops is coming online. Railtown is already a tenant, and the man who built the factory just joined their board. What is still missing is revenue to confirm. That's the Q2, Q3 story to watch. I wouldn't wait to buy. I would not wait to buy. There'll come a time, girl, when you'll look around. You'll look for me. All right, where am I? That's the Corzine. There'll come a time, girl, when you look for me. That's not the one. That's not the one. I must not be remembering the lyrics. There'll come a time, girl. That's not it. Wish. Betty Everett. It should be Waylon. Should be Waylon. Anyway, let's go. Let's not dawdle. Let's keep it moving. So Railtown was in Rimouski while it was filling up and selling out. Whether they're generating revenue, we just talked about that one. That is a duplicate. Telus reports operational and financial results for first quarter 2026. Industry-leading first quarter total mobile and fixed customer growth of 262,000, driven by sustained demand for our premium bundled services. I'm not going to read every line. We're not invested in this company. Commercial success of Telus Sovereign AI factories with Rimouski, Quebec now sold out. So there's something missing here, and it might just be that they filled out those final modules. That would be a heck of an announcement. Second facility launching in Kamloops, British Columbia. Deleveraging strategy. The dividends probably, as one would expect, might be cut. Income $5 billion. I don't want to read every single line. I hope you finished that page. Telus Health, that might get spun off, but that's also a potential place for Railtown. Through Telus Digital, we are accelerating our enterprise-wide AI and data capabilities, enabling the strategic cross-promotion of our industry-leading AI product set throughout our entire business portfolio, while enhancing Telus Digital's capacity to capture growth opportunities across its external client base. Our AI enabling capabilities delivered strong double-digit growth of 22% in the first quarter, demonstrating the compelling momentum of our AI-driven strategy as we progress toward our target of circa $2 billion in 2028. That says in, not by, that says in 2028 across Telus Data and Telus Business Solutions, including contributions from our Sovereign AI factories. Notably, our Sovereign AI factory in Rimouski, Canada, Canada's first fully Sovereign AI factory, sold out within months of launching, validating strong market demand for Sovereign AI infrastructure. Accordingly, we are expanding our compute inventory in Rimouski. See, they're being a little bit clever to meet, or they're not being fully descriptive. To meet continued demand, while our second facility in Kamloops, British Columbia, will be coming online shortly to serve the growing ecosystem of Canadian business, researchers, and government organizations seeking sovereign AI capabilities. These super secure facilities provide access to accelerated computing capabilities, enabling customers to innovate rapidly and develop smarter AI solutions. The strategic expansion of our AI capabilities is supported by the integration of Telus Digital, which continues to unlock meaningful operational efficiencies with annual cash synergies of approximately $150 million to $200 million, tracking against plan, realizing annualized free cash flow synergies of approximately $150 million as at the end of first quarter 26. All right. I'm not going to read any of that. You'll look for the Lord, you'll look for me. I think I'm going to skip anything else about Telus because it's kind of boring. All right, I'm going to go back to your comments because I'm changing the subject. And first, before I go to the comments, I want to look and see if their update came. If they, I'm sure they filed it. It's just whether it was released. I am renewed. No. Their Form 7 is not available yet. That's perplexing. Perplexing. Gone. Gonium. Go Neon. Hi, William. Sunil here. Hope you remember me. Just wanted to drop by and say hi. Have a great day. I do. Hi, Sunil. Thanks for stopping by. I like the fox. Like a fox on the run. Ricky Brogan, congratulations, Donna. Jason Harbison, May 11th, Railtown's. Wow, May 11th is their 15th anniversary. Wow. Donna M., thanks, Ricky. Today was a different trading day. Ricky Brogan, Donna, you're welcome. E. Belanger, I added, all right, E. Belanger added 2,800 shares and reached a new milestone. Next step, 650. Yes, it's a fantastic position, a position I've built brick by brick since the fall of 2024. Good for you, E. Belanger. Eric, that's just amazing. That's amazing. 650. Good job. If next step is 650. E. Belanger, with purchases near the all-time high and others at a liquidation price. I know that's life, but you're doing the right thing. A lot of you guys are, in my opinion. If you want to be in it, you get it. You go make your position, and then it turns out it's the high. Well, as it comes down, you add to your position. And there's people out there say never do that, but I don't know. I think you take, if you believe it, you average down. But I think it's great, E. Belanger, what you're doing. First buy, no AIP, and no Telus announcements. No Lazaridis, no Ruffalo, no Norbrega, no Brega, no Core, no Atufat Shamsi, just Corey Marwan with a great idea. Exactly. E. Belanger, my average price is good and everything will soon be in the green. Very happy to see the strong management advisory team that's being built. I agree with that. E. Belanger, look at other similar business. No one has something near this kind of senior manager around the table. I know they're all young, but we're in an age now where we glorify youth. Maybe we always have. Yes, we're in a period without news, but it's for the best. Repeat after me. It is for the best. It is for the best. With every analysis and projection I make, E. Belanger, everything indicates that this company is a gem. Maybe not in 2 weeks, maybe in June or not, but by the end of 26, it will be a completely new story. I have a feeling, just to throw out one idea, E. Belanger, the new CEO comes on July 2nd or July 4th. Maybe that's one. E. Belanger, for your count, William, the actual total. Wow. That is so amazing. 641,747. You have to get it to 797. Flying high like Boeing. Donna M. Great, E. Belanger. I agree. All right, let's see. I don't think there's anything here that takes too long. This is my friend's observation on Railtown. He's bullish on Railtown, but this is a very difficult, this is a different charting pattern. I think it's Fidelity, but as he sees it, that's your resistance, and it's having a hard time getting through it. I showed you my view of it, but it is to be aware of, or beware of, because maybe it does pull down a bit. I could also draw this declining, it'd be more in a slant, I guess. I guess it'd be more in a slant. So I don't think there's going to be too much more of this sideways movement, but it could. You never know. You never know. What's this? What's this? Oh, this is Jensen Wong. Avid put this up. People are teaching their agents to run a business and make money. The agent takeover is here, and you can replace your entire company with it. And guess what? They're going to be spending tokens. I'm a little nervous about putting that one up because it might be something personal for my trip. Yeah, I think I'll skip showing that. But anyway, going back to the overall market, here's a chart. This is what Warren Buffett looks at, the Wilshire GDP ratio. Apparently he looks at it. I've never spoken to him. But that blue line gives you the fair valuation of the market relative to the country's GDP. And back in 2000, with the dot-bomb boom, the markets were trading expensively to the fair value. And you see the collapse that came. And the guy that put this together is saying, not only are we beyond expensive, we're up in the fire zone. So but the thing is, charts can almost say whatever you want them to say, depending on the size and all that. On the other hand, they're a good guideline to see, but this can continue. I just want you to remember that if the overall market corrects to the mean, everything's going to be affected. Absolutely everything. Even the best stories will come down with it. Right now, I don't see any inflation in the Railtown price. Ricky Brogan, E. Belanger, I think Corey and Marwan met on a ski trip and afterwards have dinner. And that started it all. Yeah, I think that's probably about right. Let me see if that filing has been made. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. Well, unless you have, if somebody has a topic or something, that's a short presentation, but did any of you study? Some of you were younger than the rest of us. Did any of you study Richard Heinberg? Probably not. Oil, War, and the Fate of Western Societies, Industrial Societies. This is some frightening stuff. And this is where I did a lot of studying on what I talk about with you. This was written in 2003. You can see my highlights. I don't normally highlight books because I hate ruining them. But 1989, the skylines lit up at dead of night. The air conditioning systems cooling empty hotels in the desert and artificial light in the middle of the day all have something both demented and admirable about them. The mindless luxury of a rich civilization, and yet of a civilization perhaps as scared to see the lights go out as was the hunter in his primitive night. Jean Baudrillard, 1989. It is evident that the fortunes of the world's human population, for better or for worse, are inextricably interrelated with the use that is made of energy resources. M. King Hubbard, 1969. He's the original peak oil observer. There is no substitute for energy. The whole edifice of modern society is built upon it. It's not just another commodity, but the precondition of all commodities, a basic factor equal with air, water, and earth. E.F. Schumacher, 1973. The world is changing before our eyes, dramatically, inevitably, and irreversibly. The core message of this book, well, the change. It's not war, it's not markets, climate change. It's the discovery and the exhaustion of fossil energy resources. The core message of this book is that industrial civilization is based on the consumption of energy resources, which are inherently limited in quantity, and they're about to become scarce. Now, he wrote this 25 years ago, 23 years ago, or published it. My argument is, well, if he's early, it doesn't change the message. When energy resources become scarce, competition for what remains will trigger dramatic economic and geopolitical events. In the end, it may be impossible for even a single nation to sustain industrialism as we have known it in the 20th century. And I think the Chinese are building out what they think is going to be able to continue, but we're not. What comes after industrialization? It could be a world of lower consumption, lower population, and reduced stress on ecosystems. But the process of getting there from here will not be easy. Even if the world's leaders adopt intelligent and cooperative strategies, which they so far have shown little willingness to do. We are approaching the first stages of an energy crisis that will not easily be solved and that will have a profound and permanent impact on our way of life. We are about to enter a new era in which each year less net energy will be available to humankind, regardless of our efforts or choices. I had to, as I studied this, it's why I bought my house where I did. Why? Anyway, it's also why I learned to do without a car. But we had another 20 years of plenty of oil. And instead of building out a system that can adjust, like I believe China has done, although they have some other problems. Well, I won't bore you as I read. Oh, here's the chart. I showed you my drawing. Look at this chart. That's oil. That's oil. Discovered, consumed, and the other side. And this is all of history. For the previous 10,000 years, the amount of carbon in our atmosphere had remained constant at 280 parts per million. By 1998, that amount had increased to 360 parts per million and was projected to increase to 560 by the middle of the current century. Climate scientists have projected an increase of 3 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit in global temperature. We have begun to disturb the massive planetary systems that have kept much of the world's climate relatively hospitable to civilization for the last 10,000 years. And do you ever think of that? We take it for granted how calm our climate is. We are heating the deep oceans, which leads to more frequent and intense El Nino weather patterns. The timing of seasons is notably altered. I see it. And most of the Earth's glaciers are retreating at accelerating rates. The potential is catastrophic. Drowning of coastal cities. The cold, fresh water from the melting Arctic ice could halt the Gulf Stream and plunge Europe and North America into a new ice age. There are now somewhere between 2 and 5 billion humans alive who probably would not exist but for fossil fuels. Our pre-industrial survival skills have been lost. Swell. I'll just ask AI. Yeah, I guess I'll have to study this again to bring conclusions. This is a good chart. This is the chart of oil discoveries. They all happened last century. There's a few here, but the big ones, all the major oil. And look what's projected as your grandchildren grow old. This is why I think it's so important that we build an account that can get you through what's coming. Non-petroleum energy sources. Can the party continue? Natural gas. appears to be an ideal replacement fuel for oil. It burns more cleanly. I think automobiles will run on seawater, the ammonia out of seawater. Coal. Currently, the United States derives as much energy from coal as it does from natural gas. I think we have to leave the coal in the ground, though. Nuclear power. The fuel supply for nuclear power is virtually limitless if we use fast breeder reactors to produce plutonium, which is one of the most poisonous materials known and is used to make nuclear weapons. All right, I won't bore you with things that fascinate me and scare me. There's much that you as an individual can do to prepare for the energy transition. But as you take your first steps on the path toward a sustainable lifestyle, you will find that these strategies naturally blend together. You'll find friends who are on the same path. Begin by assessing your current energy usage, then decide which areas of usage are essential and which are non-essential. Gradually and deliberately reduce your non-essential usage. Replace lights, insulate walls. I painted my whole house with an insulating paint. Healthcare, grow as much of your food as you can. Finances, reduce your debt. Whatever interest you're paying on your loans, especially credit card interest, is non-productive and a drain on your personal energy budget. Further, do not buy what you don't absolutely need. Forget about your patriotic duty to consumer economy. Your primary duty is to a higher cause, personal and planetary survival. Then you got to cut your car use. Consider living car free. That's one thing I did, but I might have to change that. All right. I think I bored you with that last bit. Nice, unknown stuntman. Nice job, E. Belanger, original Plankshire, Stott Day, and Donna. Yes. I think you left one off. No, you didn't. You got them all. You got them all. Fractions of Jupiter. Do you have any thoughts on reggae music? You got to stir it up, little darling, stir it up. I love reggae music. And I love calypso. and all that kind of music down there. What thoughts do you want? I haven't heard any of the new artists, so I probably just don't know some of the older stuff. But there was two venues, Sesto Senso, which Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones came after a concert. They went there. It had a lot of fame for a long time. And to my memory, above it, but it might have been next door to it, there was this huge stage and area. Anyway, Wednesday nights, they had reggae music. And after I finished work, and if, nobody was going out, sometimes I often went by myself just to stand there and listen to reggae from whatever band was playing. I like reggae music, but I don't know what thoughts I can add to you beyond that. It's hard to be sad when you're listening to reggae music. Steve, Uncle Bill, I promise a lot of that is bullshit. Almighty God didn't create a world that was going to be melted down by too many gas engines. They want to control us. Yeah, I know. I have a lot of friends that tell me that. A lot of friends. It may be true. We've already made a lot of changes, but we'll see. Unknown stuntman. Still can't believe you walked 11 miles yesterday, cold turkey. You are a machine. Yeah, I didn't walk that much today. Today is, let me see if this report came out. Since we're here, it's 5 o'clock. Maybe it came out by 5. No. But my physical therapist says my legs, I need to build. Anyway, I gotta build my strength back, because if you don't, over time you lose it slowly, and then you're in trouble. I don't want to be in trouble. So today I only walked 3.5 miles so far. Account settings. Hello, William. Hello, happy Saturday. There's a space call by Junk Savvy. 7 p.m. I'll come in there. I don't think she wants to hear from me, but I'll be glad to listen at 7 p.m. to Junk Savvy. I respect her very much. That reminds me of something. I can't put my finger on it. Let me see if somebody sent me a text message. No. I will do that, maybe account settings. I noticed that I don't know. I think I've kind of either ruined my reputation or worn out my welcome. I don't know which. But it's been a tough time for everybody. And as I've said repeatedly, and I believe very strongly, and I, not to say I told you so to anybody, but I think we all remember, if you saw me in the first months after the MTLP trading halt, I totally believed that they were going to have to reconcile and do something and have a some sort of recompense for a squeeze that they took from us. But then you start reading everything and you go through it, and the thing most of all is it's legal for them to sell you security entitlements because of Bill Clinton. And I don't know. I'm getting to the point as I get older. Everybody you vote for is John McCain. It's all the same thing. Warhawks and Swamp. It's all the same. But anyway, back then, I thought really that there was a way, and I fought it. I walked the halls of Congress. I did a lot. But then I came to the belief that there was no way. There was no government, Congress, banking, regulatory. There was no source of righting a wrong. And it much more was to try to keep it all blurred. But people kept fighting, and I admire them so much. And I have in my own way. But anyway, I came up with the belief that you had to take it into your own control. And in my case, I wish I hadn't waited as long as I did, but you have to take it in your own control to not continue to be a victim of this endless slaughter. And the way I tried with some other trades, as you know, I tried with logic, but in the case of logic, it's easy to blame the CEO, but when the odds are so stacked and the whole game is rigged, and you have to weave such a fine path to escape the result that the banks want, the government, regulators, your brokerage firm, they all want every CEO to fail. It's very hard. And I think he made a couple of 3 bad decisions, but I think he also worked hard. It's just a tough. And you finally just says, wait a minute, this isn't the way to do it. And I think very fortunately, someone that I got to know on some of these stocks said, something, why don't you think about this? And I did the typical thing that all of you guys do. Yeah, it's another story. Yeah, sounds great. Send me something. I did all that. But then without boring you through it all, I think very fortunately saw research from different areas, and what started as maybe a trade really became, oh my gosh, we have something here. But I want to caution that if the markets collapse, which we're not there yet, and Railtown's up at some strong number, it's not, no stock can remain high while the whole edifice is crumbling. Doesn't matter, so there may be in the future decisions that we have to make. But anyway, account settings, I really thought that the way to fight back is to not be a victim of these punks anymore and just stop trading those stocks. And I mean, I think, for example, GDC is a good example of it. They create such a great story, but when money's on the line, who's checking to see if that PR has been translated properly? Who's actually going to go over to wherever, China, and get them? It's a lot of insider dealing, a lot of hoping that the gullible and the suckers invest get hooked on a story, and they just, I guess they have advantages because they know what they're doing, but they just strip. It's like shaving lamb meat off of a rotisserie. It just, they shave it, serve the gyro, shave some more, serve another souvlaki, shave some more, serve another gyro, and it shrinks down and shrinks down, and then they just put another whatever you call that unit, barrel of lamb and beef up on a rotisserie vertical. They do it again. And so to me, the way out of this, although I never thought Railtown would take this long to show in the stock price, I mean, to show life. But that is, it's just how it goes. And anyway, I think people can make their MMTLP and their MMAT back because of Railtown. And that gives strength to the individual investors. And then if they want to fight everything, they still can do it, and we'll be well funded. So it's my campaign shifted to trying to help whoever wanted to be helped make their money back. But it's also, it's never as easy. You lose it so quickly, and it's really hard to make it back. But I think we have an excellent shot here. I'm glad to hear she has a space call. I better get ready for it. Let's see what this is. All right, unknown stuntman. Thank you. Someday you're going to have a ranch, or you'll have an entire town. You'll be the mayor, or you'll run one of them. And I'm going to want a room in the best hotel. Just kidding. All right. Can I sign off now? Because it's 5:18. If I get on the 7 o'clock call, I'll never get anything more done today. I've been pushing to get prepared, and I still have a few phone calls to make. So I think I'm just going to sign off. Sorry for the short, maybe uninformative. Let's look one more time for the filing. It was supposed to be filed 2 days ago. Nope, Form 7. We don't see it. All right, well, I wish everyone peace, and, keep carrying on. We will reconnoiter maybe tomorrow, but if I'm busy getting ready, it might be catch as catch can. But we'll see you on the flip side.